Productivity is being able to do things that you were never able to do before. Being productive does not necessarily mean being busy. You can be productive in your business and your personal growth and achievements. While today is being celebrated as Positive Thinking Day, I urge you to stay positive even when it is hard to do so. I'm Adrian Atkins, and thank you for joining us for another informative edition of Jamaica Magazine. We'll be right back.
How would you want to be treated if you were diagnosed with COVID-19? Not like this.
Them will talk how me wicked and me fit dead and they behave like I am the one that created the virus. All my friends as well that were positive, them going through even worse than what I'm going through. Persons are calling police on them as well.
Do not allow your fear of COVID-19 to rob you of your humanity. There is no need to shun or victimize persons with the disease or those on the front line.
To mistreat persons that do have it, it's not a good feeling. We don't cause this on ourselves.
We really need to cut the hate and work together as a country, as communities to overcome.
Let us be understanding with those affected and support each other. Be kind. End the stigma.
Since the first case of COVID-19 in Jamaica, all areas of life have been affected. This includes businesses. If you want to know how your business can stay afloat during these challenging times, the Jamaica Productivity Center is giving the facts. Next.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. How's your business doing in productivity? Do you need help? Well, today we're having a discussion with the Jamaica Productivity Center, the organization that promotes and supports productivity improvement at the national, sectoral, industry, and enterprise levels. Our guest is Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Mrs. Nelson, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Enthros. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
We are happy to have you. Tell us, what is the role of the Jamaica Productivity Center and how it has helped in terms of improvements and efficiency to both private and public sector?
No problem. We are the national productivity organization in Jamaica and the oldest of its kind in the region. We are a tripartite organization comprised of the Ministry of the Government of Jamaica, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, and the Jamaica Employers Federation. And we have the mission of assisting the nation to improve its competitiveness, to grow, to innovate, and to be as competitive as possible. And we do this through our interventions of advocacy as it relates to productivity, also policy, research and measurement, and technical assistance.
Oh, so you're housed in the Ministry of Labour and Social Security?
That is correct, we are.
Okay.
And so some of the initiatives we are currently involved in are helping to bring awareness to productivity issues to the nation, to stakeholders, and we do that through different sensitization sessions. We host workshops and webinars to help to improve technical capacity, and we help, as you rightly mentioned previously, businesses in terms of their improvement initiatives through audits and technical assistance.
How long have you been around?
Wow. Well, I've been with this center for about 12 years now, and it started in 2003.
Okay,
yes.
Okay. Now we're going through a pandemic.
Yes.
Right? Tell me, you have done a study recently about the impact of COVID.
Right.
Tell us about why you did it, what were the objectives, and what are the findings?
Well, a crisis such as the pandemic will no doubt affect productivity. It will affect your output, because if we go back to the whole definition of productivity, productivity is how efficiently you translate your inputs into outputs, right? So it has to do with the whole process of conversion to your goods or services, and how efficiently or effective they are done. And when you think about your input, you're thinking about labor, you're thinking about your capital, you're thinking about, you know, your operating costs, your machinery, and all of those things are impacted by a pandemic such as
Yes.
COVID, right? So your supply chain is interrupted, demand is fluctuating, and so your productivity will be negatively impacted. And as a means of getting a grasp of what's happening in the space and how best we can serve the public, we did an impact study to find out how businesses were really reacting and coping with the challenges
When was
faced.
this done?
This was done in June of this year.
Tell us about the findings.
Well, some of the findings, just briefly, that we found is that 81% of the organizations that we surveyed had to reduce their staff complement, and about 68% of the respondents had a decrease in revenues or sales. On the other hand, we also had about 6% who were noting an increase in revenues during this period. So we are seeing, and then the rest are in the middle. So we, and we also found that those who had slim margins, financial margins, pre-COVID were the ones that were most significantly impacted during this time period. We did a survey as it relates to how persons were adjusting in terms of their work arrangements, and 95% of organizations that were studied had to change their work arrangements. And they found that these measures were very effective, and that was about 93% found that they were still able to maintain operations, and they found it either effective or very effective. And of that amount, about 32% said that they would continue these measures even after the pandemic has passed. So persons are seeing the benefit of, changing and innovating as it relates to how work is done.
What sectors are most affected by the pandemic?
Over 27 million persons worldwide have been affected by this pandemic in terms of contracting the virus. And what that has done, it has affected movement, because strict measures would have to be put in place as it relates to movement to minimize contact. Other measures put in place, for example, would also affect spending patterns, movement, etc. And
tourism,
the main one, and other services are have also seen a contraction. Also, transportation, you would see as the top three who are most affected.
But some sectors are doing well.
Yes, these would include, for example, the pharmaceutical companies, consumer goods, e-commerce and services, and delivery services. And that's what we have been seeing locally in terms of companies that have been able to maintain demand during this time. On a worldwide platform, we have seen historically as well that it's during a crisis or a pandemic situation that some robust business models emerge, like the Ubers and the Airbnbs of this world. And so we are seeing on a broad global scale areas such as home fitness regimes and products that are on the rise. So things like yoga mats were out of stock. Right now, if you want some bicycle products locally, you can't get them because they're out of stock. Persons are now transitioning to a home environment. I spoke to other persons in the region, and like treadmills, for example, were also out of stock. So we are seeing...
So you're saying in Jamaica, some of those things are also out of stock?
Some of those things are, yes. We are seeing that locally as well. Virtual meetings are on the rise. So
some professions, some occupations are seeing a growth. What are some of those apart from?
Cybersecurity, e-learning resources and services, online fitness, so persons are doing their exercises now via Zoom and WhatsApp, etc. The gaming industry is also seeing a boom, and movie streaming services. So even, for example, Disney has moved their movies on their own platforms. So persons are expanding their digital platforms and extending their services that they provide, meeting the needs of the customers online, virtually.
Yes. All right, we're going to pick up with more on that online virtual meetings and virtual businesses and so on. But we take a break now. We'll come right back with more information. Stay with us.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're talking about productivity in Jamaica, especially amidst COVID-19. Our resource person is Tamara Nelson. She's the Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center. Thank you for staying with us. Tell us, what are some of the things people need to consider before taking their business online?
Okay, well, when you think of online, that's, there's a wide range of things that you could be doing. So, for example, some companies may be digitizing documents or files. Some may be moving to a cloud platform. Some may be, for example, just building a website or putting their products online in terms of their services. Some may be automating what they do internally or integrating artificial intelligence. So there's a wide gamut of things that are creating apps, etc. So there's a whole gamut of things. But with anything that we are doing, I would advise businesses to get the facts, right?
We're giving them no.
Get the facts.
Okay.
And just to make their decision based on those facts. So to do the necessary due diligence in terms of doing the cost-benefit analysis to see that it will be a good fit for your organization, get the necessary technical assistance and do it right the first time.
And do you provide that as well?
No, not in that. We provide services on the process side of things. So we also recommend that persons look at their internal business process and operations objectively, and not just and to see where they can improve efficiency and effectiveness before administering a digital platform, because you would just be replicating an old inefficient system on a digital platform, which would not be benefiting your organization. So if you're looking for gains in productivity improvement, we recommend that you do an audit of your business processes, make it more efficient, and then you move it to that digital online platform.
So your survey, the one you did recently, has said a lot of businesses have suffered, many businesses have suffered, right? So from your research, what are some of the measures you'd give business people now to ensure that their business do well during this pandemic, because we don't know when it's going to end?
No, and some experts have said it's something we have to learn to live with. And so what we are seeing on a global scale is persons or businesses pivoting, changing how they operate. Not the why, but more so the how they operate. So we have seen where, for example, some of the major chains in the U.S. have changed the designs of, for example, some of the fast food place layouts, so like the Taco Bells and the Burger Kings, to accommodate social distance, physical distancing and curbside pickup, and to ensure that persons are safe and they can still maintain profits. In terms of measurements of productivity, It's very specific to what you are doing, but measurement is key for any organization as it relates to improvement, and especially if you are doing any flexible work arrangement to know that it's working for you. It's important that you have metrics in place to ensure not just looking at output, but to have that in relation to the inputs to ensure that you're efficiently translating that and not having a lot of waste that's just money going down the drain. And that's something that we can help with in terms of our research, and our technical unit we can help in developing
so one
some of those
specific tool
metrics.
that I need to use is that of research, right?
Yes.
So any other tool that you would recommend?
Measurements.
Measurements, yes.
You can't improve what you're not measuring because you won't know exactly where to focus and what to do. And this is not a time that you're going to base your decisions on gut feeling. And that's why I mentioned getting the facts.
How does one know if they're being productive enough?
As it relates to productivity, you're never there. There's always room for improvement. And what we should aim for is not settling with where we are or what we currently are doing and think that we are there, but to always push to see how can I be better tomorrow than today, and how was I better today than yesterday. And we believe that with that continuous improvement, that compounded over time, we will get those gains.
So you need to set targets and goals, and you need
Absolutely, and they need to be very specific, and it goes back to the point about measurement and how important that is. And culturally, locally, it's something that we don't spend enough time on. And so even when we go in to do an intervention with persons, there is no measurement in place to specifically target where the improvement needs to focus on. Because there will always be bottlenecks, there will always be gaps, and we need to focus on the priority ones that will give us the maximum benefit as it relates to improvement.
You spoke earlier about flexi work arrangement. You did a survey. Tell us what you found.
95% of the organizations had implementing flexi work arrangement. 95% of organizations that we surveyed had implemented flexible work arrangements in their organization, right? And also 93% said that those arrangements were either effective or very effective. We also found that there were inhibitors to transition into a flexible work arrangement, which would include, for example, the infrastructure and the policies being in place, mindset, and the costs associated with transitioning were major inhibitors to persons transitioning to, for example, a work from home or a pod system or flexible schedules. And there are multiple that are available and persons locally have been employing. So those were some of the responses.
Did you find that people were losing jobs because they're now working with the flexi work arrangement?
What we found is that overall, that 81% of organizations had to reduce their staff complement. Right, so there have been job losses, as we mentioned earlier. That if persons were on the borderline before COVID, and when it hit, it was the last straw. So some persons have not been able, unfortunately, to keep their doors open, and that would have impacted.
So COVID-19 presented some challenges to the flexi work arrangement.
Challenge, but also opportunities.
Opportunities,
because what COVID did was give us the green light, as it were, in terms of adopting what was available. And so persons have now had to embrace it to secure and safety of their staff and workers, and have seen the benefit of, for example, reduce costs, operating costs, because they're able to have persons work from home indefinitely. A number of companies have employed that, and so they have reduced square footage and able to use that to do more value-added activities within their business processes.
Okay. So now, if an organization is now having difficult productivity issues, tell us tell us how they can reach out to you, and what can you do to help them?
Okay, so they can reach out to us at jpc@cwjamaica.com, or they can give us a call at 876-922-1598, and one of our team members would be happy to, discuss with them the opportunities and the tools that we have available. We have various toolkits that are available that we can share with persons.
What's a toolkit?
For example, what we're developing now, because we did a series on flexible work arrangements, and so persons want, for example, a resource kit that they can just, with all the information already there, that they can see, probably a draft policy template, what are some of the tech tools that they can utilize to collaborate, etc., and where they can go for further information. So we have put that together. For example, we can also do virtual productivity audits once the information is provided. Persons can call if they have a particular issue, or they need a sensitization session, for example, with their staff members. So, or a particular benchmarking study done as it relates to their area, we can also accommodate those. What COVID-19 has done in terms of us really focusing on innovating, being more efficient, being more effective, use of technology. If we can survive and thrive during this time, post-COVID, we should see higher productivity growth. And that's what we want. And we are here to assist persons in getting there and surviving during these times.
Yes, a very good note to end on. Thank you so very much for coming to share with us today on Get the Facts. This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Chief Technical Director at the Jamaica Productivity Center, Tamar Nelson. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you, as always, more pertinent and useful information. I'm Rose Campbell. Do take good care, and thank you so much for watching.
In order to be productive in your business and properly manage personal expenses during this global pandemic, it is advised to plan ahead and be organized. This next feature outlines what you should and should not do in order to protect your savings. Take a look.
With COVID-19 now in Jamaica, we are being advised to stock up on hygiene supplies that can be used to protect ourselves, as well as to have at least 2 weeks' supply of food and water in reserve. A lot of us may not have the disposable income to readily do that, at least not without tapping into a little savings we have managed to put aside. But financial experts will tell you, whatever the need, it is important not to deplete our savings, and money management is critically important. But how to do that? First, don't rush to shop, or panic shopping as they put it. Why? Because you may buy things you don't immediately need, leading to wasted spending. Next, I would say assess your home situation. Check how many persons are in the family, if there are babies, toddlers, and persons with special needs. You should then decide on the amount of available money you have to spend. Make a list of the things you need. The experts suggest at least 2 weeks' supply of basic food items and medication. To help with your shopping list, it's a good idea to work out a meal plan for the period. Next, be disciplined. Try not to divert from this meal plan too much and finish the supply early. This would mean going back to the store to spend more money. Protecting your health is priority number 1, and being smart with your expenses actually supports that. We must remember that we are not sure how long the country will be going through this pandemic. So, as best as possible, we need to ensure our money can carry us through for as long as possible, and hopefully have reserves for after.
From the data, we can see that most countries will enter a phase of rapid increase in cases. However, depending on the containment measures employed and the timeliness and effectiveness of their implementation, the severity of the increase in infections can be managed downwards. Empowering citizens with information that encourages responsible personal hygiene and community health behavior, such as washing hands regularly and staying home if ill, tracing and containing infected and contact cases, that is, quarantine measures, and implementing social distancing measures, gathering restrictions, for example, have real effects on slowing down and containing the spread of the virus.
It is said that by May, the country may have reached the peak of confirmed cases of COVID-19, but the recovery process and further containment measures may still be in place for a few more months. So, what else can you do to protect your financial health? A key thing is to not max out your credit card and income because you are worried that supplies will run out. Check for moratorium on mortgages and loans. Use this as a reserve cash flow instead of your pay or savings. I know it's easy to get off track with plans, but we have to be disciplined and we have to prioritize. Now more than ever.
The COVID-19 pandemic has caused restrictions on our movement and social lives, but it doesn't have to halt our productivity in any area. Let's look at some tips we can incorporate in our daily routines to be productive, even as we stay home as much as possible. Number 1, create a schedule. A detailed plan can help you get more done throughout the day. 2, prioritize your schedule. Organize tasks in order of importance or based on what needs to be tackled soonest. Also, read a book or view a documentary. You might be at home feeling overwhelmed with the rising number of COVID-19 cases, and it's important to do activities that allow you to relax and unwind. 4, exercise. This is another good way to relieve tension and stress. 5, keep in touch with family and friends, as this will help you to feel less alone and more connected. And finally, learn a new skill or start a new project. This can be as exciting or laid back as you want it to be. Your new skill can also be a new addition to your resume. If you follow all the tips we've shared and others you can find online, you will get through this period feeling renewed and accomplished. Your mental and physical health is important to Jamaica's goal of being the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
You've asked for it, and now it's here. The Jamaica Information Service has updated its mobile app. It's easier to navigate, loads even faster than before, talking about top speed, operates seamlessly across platforms, and we're a creative bunch, so it's much easier on the eyes. Now you have quick and easy access to news stories, television and radio features, and a variety of photos right at your fingertips. And you'll get push notifications when new content is uploaded. Download the app on your Apple and Android devices now and get news you can use. Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica on the go.
This is where we part ways, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow, same time, for more informative content. Don't forget to visit our website, jis.gov.jm, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and other social media pages. And remember to be productive. I'm Adrian Atkinson on behalf of all of us here at the JIS. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.